in this episode.
But with your protein, you should be getting about a gram of protein for every pound that you weigh. And so a kid that's 150 pounds, to just sustain himself, should be taking in about 150 grams of protein a day.
I would assume that most kids would be more carbs than protein and fats. That'd be my assumption.
Actually, there's a lot of fats as well, too.
Oh, really?
Yes, because when you look at a lot of the foods, some of the foods that the kids eat are very high in the fat content. But like for a kid, if they've eaten at 11 o'clock at school, what type of protein source are you going to have right after school to get you through?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter is a good one, but peanut butter is a little bit more of a fat source. It's more of a fat content instead of protein.
So then what would be the recommendation?
But it's
once you get out of school.
But going with that though, it's really convenient, so it's actually something that's not bad.
Let's finish it.
Welcome back to The Closing Pitch. This is part 2 of the conversation with Scott Brown. In the first part, the Commodore, we spoke a lot on player-coach relationship, building a team structure, and also the relationship between a spring high school coach and a college coach. In this second part, we explore Coach Brown's new life with First Form. First Form is the leader, the premier supplement company that distributes worldwide. It focuses on helping people develop healthy lifestyles. They cross multiple spectrums of customers and helping each person reach their goals, whether that is a mother of 3 or a professional CrossFit athlete. They are the #1 brand in their respective industry. We explore the misconceptions about nutrition and define when supplements are needed in a diet. I thoroughly enjoyed this last section of the conversation because it's a place where I have struggled with my discipline on the nutrition end. Our nutrition is a growing, breathing thing, and each day is completely different, especially when you are on the road. That seems like that is the hardest part when it comes to nutrition. So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. If you have further questions on nutrition or supplements, First Form has representatives that can help you on this path. Go to firstform.com. That is the #1, firstform.com, and select that chat icon. The last thing I want to note is that this is not a paid episode. This is not a sponsored post, even though it just sounded like I just made a huge ad for First Form. I just genuinely love this company. I think they're doing amazing things. Every person that I have dealt with inside this company has given strong advice, sound advice, and it has helped me personally get back on track after my athletic career. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we will catch you on the other side. Nutrition. I want to go down nutrition because you're working for First Form, and this is a very touchy subject in the sports realm. Where do you see like the supplement industry right now? Obviously seeing it on the inside with First Form and seeing the inner workings, but then also seeing it from the coach's end of things. What's your take on it?
So here's my thing, and I've known Sal Frisella because I've known Sal since he actually played at Vianney when I was coaching over at CBC. So I've known him for a long time, and before that as well.
And guys that are listening, Sal is the president
of First Form,
and his brother Andy is the CEO.
Yes,
okay.
He and a kid named Chris Klein, and they're all 3 of them are from Vianney. Happened to be where I went to high school and where I coached for the last 11 years and stuff. So I
should have gone to Vianney. Holy cow! It just seems like just
have.
like racking off just like this guy and this guy and this guy.
Spiker, you should have.
Registration's code www.vianney.com.
No, I'm not there
so
anymore.
This whole episode,
I'm not there anymore.
This whole episode is sponsored by Vianney High School. No, go ahead.
So I actually had Sal, and Sal played at Carbondale. Then he actually played for a couple of years at the Cardinals, and was actually doing pretty good with the Cardinals, and really starting to finally get it. And unfortunately, broke his leg in a horrific collision at home plate, and that was the end of his career, unfortunately.
It went viral on YouTube.
It did.
It's crazy.
And
he came in there like a dump truck. He was determined to make sure that he scored on that play.
And it was one of the things where he got blocked off the plate, broke his leg in half, and still was able to literally crawl
and score
and touch home plate. It was nasty looking. So, ugh. But anyway, I had him a couple years ago, back in 2017. I asked him to come out and talk to our guys because my biggest thing was again, go back to what you're talking about with coaches, and we would always, talk about what our needs were for the season, and we talk about things that we needed to get better at. And it just so happened one of the things I was talking about is like, look, our kids they really look like they just die by the end of practices and in games and stuff. I said, what do we have to do to get better? And we start talking about the nutrition part. I'm like, well, I know these guys, so let me have him come out. So him and a guy named Brian Teach, who happens to be one of my bosses out there, they came out to talk to our guys. And what was funny is that one of the biggest things I wanted them to talk about is how to refuel themselves after school. Because literally, and high school coaches know this, you'll have kids that will eat lunch at 11, and then you're expecting them to get through a game or a practice that goes until 6:30. And there's no way they can do it if they don't have something in between. And so it's how do they refuel themselves? I need to convince these guys to do this. And that was our focus of the talk with them. And so they came in, and our kids bought in 100% with it. I mean, they were sold. The biggest thing that we talk about today, the biggest thing they talked about there is that you have to understand supplements are just that. They are supplements. The most important thing is your daily diet. What are you eating? What are you putting in your body? And the thing that they will stress is making sure that that part is down the best you can. Then when you're sort of lacking something here or there, then you sort of maybe look and see what you need to do. And our biggest thing that we really stress is protein. And that's one of the most important things for athletes, making sure you get enough protein. So, as far as some of the other supplements, I mean, we don't really touch on that too much. But with high school kids, we always talk about getting a multivitamin, whatever it may be, because you miss so many of the micronutrients that you need to really help your body grow. But then the other thing is making sure you're hitting your protein and getting enough of that. And that's something that's important that will help sustain you and help build your muscles up. Make sure that they don't deplete themselves, because at the end of a season, I mean, if you don't watch what you're eating, what you're doing, you're going to really suffer. And that's why you see a lot of kids that will lose a lot of weight especially a lot of strength during the season. The more consistent you can stay, the better off you're going to be throughout the entire season. So our thing is really look at your diet. And the best way to do that, and we always tell them they're not obsessed with this, but there are so many food trackers nowadays. Get an idea of what you're actually putting in your body, and really track your food to see what are the macronutrients that you have. What are the fats, carbs, and proteins that you're putting in?
Those are macro.
Yeah, those are the macros and stuff. And so those are the three things that we really hit on at our place and stuff, and talk to them about that. And now from there, we always tell people that what you should be shooting for, once you set your calories and stuff like that, but with your protein, you should be getting about a gram of protein for every pound that you weigh. And so a kid that's 150 pounds, to just sustain himself, should be taking in about 150 grams of protein a day.
It's a lot. It
is. And it's a lot more for me and stuff, since I weigh much more than 150 pounds and stuff. But it's hard, but it's still making sure that you eat the right foods, making sure you really are conscious of what you're eating, because here's the thing.
I would assume that it would be more carbs. Sorry to interrupt you, but I would assume that most kids would be more carbs than protein and fats. That'd be my assumption.
Actually, there's a lot of fats as well too.
Oh, really?
Yes, because when you look at a lot of the foods, some of the foods that the kids eat are very high in the fat content, which isn't bad, but it's, and we always tell people is that, what you have to do is you have to find the foods that you're really comfortable with. Make sure you're hitting your protein goals, and from there it's like, well, which ones are the best ones? Well, it's the ones that you like the most, because, chicken may be a great one because it is easily digestible and stuff, and it's high in protein, low in the carbs. But if a person doesn't like chicken, it's not going to do them a whole lot of good. So which protein source, set that one first and work around it. And then the biggest thing for us is from there, you should be taking in protein about every 3 hours. And that's, if you're really into it, then, you have it where you have basically sort of 6 meals a day. Other people will spread it out a little bit more, and then you just have to eat more at each setting. But like for a kid, if they've eaten at 11 o'clock at school, what type of protein source are you going to have right after school to get you through?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter is a good one, but peanut butter is a little bit more of a fat source. It's more of a fat content instead of protein.
So then what would be the recommendation?
But it's
once you get out of school.
But going with that though, it's really convenient. So it's actually something that's not bad.
So at least you're doing something, right?
Exactly. And the thing is, like, we would tell them, like, hey, Uncrustables are great, but also understand this, that Uncrustables are pretty small. So don't think you can just eat one of them and have enough protein to really get you through. You're probably going to need to have a couple of them. And so that will help get you through the practice. That'll help you get through the game. One thing I hope coaches are listening to on this one is, don't get hung up. I mean, if a kid's hungry during practice, let them eat. I mean,
so it's not like Remember the Titans where
no,
you
it's
start.
not. I mean,
you do not get water.
And I think that was a thing that really blew some of the kids away, because I'd be, like, if you need to have a snack during practice, as long as it's a good snack, do it. I don't care. I mean, if it's
we're not going to have like an
through,
official snack time.
No, we're not going to have the snack time. But it was like, it's okay. It's, you can do it. It's not going to make any difference to me whatsoever. All of a sudden you come in, you have a, get a protein bar, or you have a sandwich, or and a great thing to eat. Honestly, I mean, it sounds really weird, but having a small piece of chicken with some rice, it's really easily digestible, and that's what you want. Something that's going to get into your system a little bit quicker and stuff. So, it's important that they have something. And again, our kids bought in 100% that they needed to have something. Our parents want to help as much as they can. Unfortunately, they don't know how to help a lot of times. And so our thing with them was, we need to do this. My mistake I made the first year, the first couple of weeks, was I forgot to tell them what we needed. And all of a sudden they're coming with these chips and everything. And it's like, okay, I appreciate the snacks, but that's not the snacks that we're talking about.
Milky Ways and potato chips.
Exactly. And it was like,
it's like
no.
Soccer team oranges, like they come out.
So
That's what they did when they were 6.
So it was teaching them, no, this is what you have. This is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're like, oh, that's perfect. We can do that too. And so they were, making sure the hydration's there as well too is important. But really making sure that the protein source is there to give them some fuel to keep them going. Mm-hmm. Then the other thing too is that as we tell people at First Form, especially with the parents, and this is something I'm excited about, because it's sort of one of the things that, as I'm sort of growing my role out there, we talk about education with a high school athlete is, we don't want parents to spend more money. We just want them to spend money more correctly, because really take a look at what you're buying at the grocery store and make sure it's things that your son or daughter needs that really help them reach the goals that they want. Because a lot of times what will happen is that they're doing a great job with workouts, but they're not putting themselves there, putting the right things back in their body. So they're really spinning their wheels. And in some cases, they're actually going backwards as well too, because you can't outwork a diet. I mean, your diet has to be where it needs to be.
It's got to be locked in.
It does. And you have to be consistent. And the thing is that anybody that is successful will tell you. I mean, even talk to, when you listen to some of the stuff with Kobe Bryant, or Michael Jordan, of really, when you get down to it, how boring it was. Because it's just so consistent and monotonous, and it's the same thing over and over again. But it's what it takes to be successful. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with your diet. The more consistent you are with it, as opposed to one day being good, one day being really bad, one day being so. You're going to find more. You're going to find bigger gains when you're more consistent with it.
It's stacking those days. That's literally what it is. You're stacking those days.
How many days in a row can you do the right thing? How many days in a row can you do the right workout that you want, but also then hitting the right meal plan that you want to hit?
So it's not necessarily buying the right supplements. It's more of, again, that stuff's going to help, but it's not the end all be all. It's not the quick fix, not the thing that's going to get me rich, get me the deal, get me the thing. It's going to be the not locking down my daily routine.
Exactly. There is no wonder drug. I mean, there is, and that's the one thing that they will tell you at First Form. There is no wonder drug to make everything all better right away.
Which is crazy to think about, because like that's your business.
It is,
and you're telling people the opposite.
But there's also a lot of holes that people have in their diets. That okay, so if you have holes, we can help. We can definitely help with that. If you're having trouble hitting your proteins, okay, this is how we can help out. The only two things that with high school kids that we really stress, well, there's three things. One thing we stress is stop taking the pre-workouts. because you don't need all the extra caffeine. You really don't. If you've got the right meal plan, you're going to be okay. I mean, those are sort of a crutch. They, the ones that they like drinking with the bangs and everything like that is because they taste good, and that's how they market them. They want to sell product because they taste good, and they're not going to taste bad. They're going to taste really good. But stay away from those because they're going to do more harm than good in the long run, especially on a hot day when you're sweating a lot. It is really going to be a detriment to you. I mean, nothing cringes me more than seeing a kid drinking a Red Bull
right before a game.
Exactly. I mean, it's just
because you're going to dehydrate yourself super quick. Because your kidneys are going to dump.
You got no shot after the second or third inning when it's 98 degrees in August.
And they don't understand that. They feel the big rush at the beginning, and they're like, "This is great."
Well, it's like it's funny because you're at Grand Park and it's all turf and they're hot, and then you talk to the player and they have a cramp at second base, and I was like, "Coach, I was drinking water. I don't know what happened." And I was like, "Did you have any caffeine today?" He's like, "Yeah, I had a Bang and a Red Bull," and I was like, "No kidding," because your kidneys are dumping like that, even if you put water in your system.
And most of them, when they're drinking liquid, it's more they associate those drinks with liquid as well too. So a lot of times they don't put nearly as much water in as they think they are.
Yeah,
and that's why tracking is really important. I mean, and I know this is a lot. I mean, but what we really recommend, and we have a thing called 75 hard out there as well too. And one of the challenges of that one is drinking between 100 and 120 ounces of water a day. And that is a lot of water. And it's something that I always need to do better with, but it is something that will really, when you're consistent with it, you will see great benefits in the long run over it. Because there's a lot of studies and, that will show you that even being slightly dehydrated will greatly decrease your output and stuff. And that's why, when you look at colleges, they control everything that you're putting in your body as far as the food. They're making sure you have the training table that you need, making sure you have the stuff after a game, making sure that when you're lifting weights that you're drinking water as well too. And they're really encouraging it. So go back to what I said is that one of the three things that we will really recommend is that, one, stay away from those for high school kids. Two, take some sort of multivitamin because you really are lacking the micronutrients because you just can't get enough variety. And even if you are doing the 5 to 7 recommended dosages of fruits and vegetables a day, you're not getting probably the variety where you're going to get all the micronutrients you need. So a multivitamin really helps out. And the other thing that we really recommend is that when you have a really strong workout, get some sort of a rapid stimulation protein in your body right away afterwards.
So rapid stimulation protein for those that
assimilated.
Simulated. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you know what's the difference?
Well,
between regular protein, like muscle milk, because that's literally everyone drinks that, because it's easy.
And muscle milk is actually good. A lot of the colleges will do that as well too and stuff. But what you want to have in there is you want to have something that has a high glycemic carbohydrate in it as well too. I mean, for us, it's our Ignition along with our Formula One. Muscle milk is one that is similar to that. A lot of people will tell you just drinking regular chocolate milk is something that is good for you as well too. The problem with the regular chocolate milk is it's not quite completely. You still have to do some digesting of it as well too. But you want something that is going to get you into an anabolic state right away and give you that little bit of an insulin spike, which is actually good for when you first get done with your workout because you go from breaking down your muscles to now start building it back up. And so from there, what happens is the Ignition or the high glycemic carbohydrate will actually get that stuff going as far as igniting the insulin spike. And then
because technically that's sugar.
It is. It's a form of sugar and it's something that is already broken down. So it's easily gets used by the body. As opposed to having to take because there's sugar in a lot of things, but your body has to break the other stuff down, so it takes a while for that to work. This one is already broken down, so it works right away. And then with your rapid assimilated protein, what it does is that with the high glycemic carb, it actually starts working into your muscle right away. And so that's what you want, something that is basically already in a processed form, and so it's going to actually be absorbed right away with it. As opposed to some of them, you have to actually do the breakdown. They have higher fats and carbs in them. And we have protein for that as well too. But that's going to be more of your
meal replacement
ones and stuff. And they're going to stay with you longer. And so really the only thing we talk about is, make sure you're doing the right things post-workout, because you want to make sure that all the work that you did goes right to getting the results that you want with it.
And you have all of this resources on your website, right? If they really want to dig down and be like, okay, what actually protein works? What should I stay away from? Now,
and don't be afraid to make phone calls either.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I really like about First Form is I can call them and actually talk to a professional and actually get sound advice. And I don't feel like I'm getting sold to.
No, so. and that's the thing. I mean, it's for me, it's one of the things, and as they'll tell you too, it's, they really stress your diet. What are you doing? What do your meals look like? And again, it goes back to tracking your food, not necessarily all the time, but at least for a couple of weeks to really get a good idea of what you really put in your body. Because what most people will find is that, one, they're really low on the protein, and so what do I need to do to make sure I start getting that to where you want? And the hardest thing to comprehend is that, like, for a person that's trying to lose weight, they got to make sure they're eating enough, because
which is kind of scary for them to think about.
It is. I mean, it is. It's very scary because it's, they've for so many years have been probably told, no, just eat less, eat less. Well, no, because what happens is then your body is trying to protect itself, and your body actually will start storing fat, because your body is always trying to make sure it's able to sustain itself. And so it starts storing fat, which is not what you want. By keeping the right protein in you, it keeps you having lean muscle, but it also keeps burning fat as well too, as opposed to storing it.
Yeah, it goes back to when we were nomads back in the 5 BC when we couldn't find any food. We had to store it in our bodies.
Exactly.
So to kind of wrap up the whole nutrition supplement conversation, big thing for athletes is to lock down their nutrition. And then after that, then they can start looking into a multivitamin. Then from a multivitamin, they can now consider a protein that they could actually purchase. And then creatine and all those stuff, let that go. Just don't even flirt with it.
That's a whole different topic.
Another rabbit hole.
It is, because actually creatine is not nearly as bad as what they used to think.
Mm-hmm.
And creatine's gotten a really bad rap, but that's a very long conversation.
That's a Space Jam type of rabbit hole that we don't want to go down.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it really honestly is not bad for you, even though some people will tell you that it is. And part of the reason for that was because at one point, they'll tell you that it causes kidney failure. Well, the reason for that is because when they're testing for kidney function, what they do is they test for creatine levels. And when you start having spikes in your creatine level, it's because you're not taking them. It's because your kidneys are not functioning the way they should. Mm-hmm. When you're taking a creatine supplement, obviously you're going to have those spikes in there. So people that were not for it were saying that it's going to cause damage. It's already damaging your kidneys because you're seeing these spikes in there. No, that's not the case. But that's a whole different thing. For high school kids, you know what? Stick with a good diet. Stick with hydration. Make sure you're hitting your protein. Make sure you're getting your multivitamin in, and you're going to be good.
Cool. Scott, it has been an absolute pleasure. This has been an awesome conversation. I think we've hit literally everything from the high school and then age groups, going from like recruiting and development, and also how you would actually form your team. Just thank you so much for coming here. And then Evan, thanks for subbing
Absolutely.
in.
I mean, that one of the best high school baseball coaches I've ever been around. Now he's a super nutritionist guy that sounds like he's the smartest guy on the face of the earth. Love it.
I know. I was just like, I literally was just taking it in. I was like, this guy. I hope I asked the right questions.
Exactly. This has been great.
So, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a review, 5 stars preferably. Scott, is there any way they can reach out to you if they have any questions from just like a coaching perspective or even like nutrition aspect?
I'm on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram. It's at Coach_Brown_18, or you feel free to shoot me an email, and that's jscottbrown18@gmail.com.
Cool. Guys, I'll put that all in the show notes. So if you are stressing out and trying to write it, stop doing that. I don't want you to crash your car, but it'll be in the show notes. Just click down the links and you'll be able to get to his profiles. Thanks, guys, and we will catch you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this part 2 with Scott Brown. We will be back with another episode next week. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Your thoughts and insights are much appreciated. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.